Hey everyone, it's Autumn. Today we are going to do my monthly makeup bag video. So I do have a monthly makeup basket, which is completely separate from the makeup bag. So the monthly makeup basket is a thing where I gather up all the makeup that I am testing out, or maybe things that I want to declutter and I need to try throughout the month, and those go into the basket. My monthly makeup bag are items that I know already work for me. I like them, the colors work for me. And that way I just keep this bag ready, and if I have to go somewhere or travel, I can grab this bag and take it with me. It has everything I need. And then also, if I don't know what I'm going to do for makeup that day, I'm feeling kind of like in a makeup rut, and I have to hurry up and get ready for work or something like that, I also work from this bag because, again, I know everything works for me. I'm one of those people that if I don't like the way my makeup is turning out, I will just get up and go wash it off. And there are many days where I'm in a hurry and I don't have time to do that. So this kind of like makes sure that problem doesn't happen. I find that like if you're somebody who has a ton of makeup, there are times when you just try using different products together and they don't really work together. And then you don't know if it's the product or if it's you using it with something else or whatever. And I just know that all of this stuff works together and works for me at that moment in time. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the one I put together for this month. One of the things I think about during the month are what am I going to be doing this month? So if I have specific travel or specific events I have planned with friends, I also kind of plan the makeup bag around that as well, so I have everything I need. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the makeup bag that I'm using this month. It's this one from Amazon. I watched a TikTok I watched a TikTok and they like convinced me to get it. Maybe I like got the wrong one on Amazon. I just don't find that the quality is all that great. I'll kind of zip it and show you. It kind of looks, yeah. So this is kind of what it looks like, and it has like the little handle, and then it unzips and then folds out and you can see all your products. So I like the fact that I can see everything. I just think that the lining is a little bit like cheap. It's just not well made. So anyway, you could probably see that I had a ton of products in this bag, and I obviously can't put them all on my face at once, but there is a reason why I have so many different options in here. So I kind of have 4 foundation categories in here. So I have 4 different makeup looks or like textures I want on my face that day. So if I want something that's like barely there, really sheer, I want my skin to shine through, I have this right here, and this is the Chanel Le Beiges. And I also have different makeup items in the bag that go with that are also sheer. I find that if you use a sheer foundation type product and then you put like full coverage, like more opaque blushes and things like that over it, it just doesn't look right. So again, I have different products in here that look right and work well with this. The other foundation I have in here is if I'm wanting something that's moisturizing but has a little bit more coverage. I've been mixing these two together. So this is the Estee Lauder Futurist Hydra Rescue. The shade range in this product is not very good, and I have the shade 1W2 Sand, which is too orange and too dark for my skin. It does tend to oxidize a little bit. So I am pairing it with the Misha Perfect Cover BB Cream because this is very pale and very gray. So typically when I want something desaturated, I don't mean this desaturated. And also this leans a little bit gray to pink. It actually looks right on my hand. I think my face right now has a little bit more coverage, but it is just a teensy bit pink. But I find that when I add this in with it, it works. So this is also a really good little duo. I also have in this because I'm trying to use it up, but also it is my favorite foundation type product. The color match is perfect for me. It blends beautifully. I can build this up for more coverage, or I can sheer it out for like a quick everyday look. So this really is still my go-to. And then I have an actual foundation in here. And the one that's matching me best right now, I featured it in my recent favorites video. It's the Shiseido Synchro Skin Radiant Lifting Foundation. So today, I feel like I've featured these 3 in videos already at some point. So today I'm actually going to do a little bit of a mixture, and I'll show you how I mix these together. So you're supposed to shake this before you put it on. And actually first, have a clip in here, or I should have. I always keep a clip or a ponytail holder in my makeup bag to put my hair back when I do my makeup, especially when traveling. I don't want to like get it in my hair. So I don't know why I said especially when traveling I don't want to get it. I just don't want to get it in my hair ever. So I'm going to go ahead and shake this up a little bit and pump like about a half a pump on the back of my hand. And I want to also do a half a pump with a Misha. I can always add more, but I find that the coverage on this, so there it is, I find the coverage is a lot, and I tend to not like a ton of coverage. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more of the Misha and mix. And then there we go. I think that's a pretty good match for my skin. So then I'm just gonna take this little buffing brush I have here from e.l.f. and then just kind of work it into the skin. And I like to do it little by little, like in thin coat, like I guess in thin layers on my face. Because if I put it on too much too soon, it can get really cakey. And that's like with any sort of makeup or anything. Thin layers are typically always best. So this has a lot of moisture in it, and it looks really nice on the skin. But again, I do find with this I have to be careful, in which I am going to be bronzing and using a little bit of concealer and things like that. But I do find that the Estee Lauder does tend to oxidize. So you kind of have to be careful when using it, because it could, your match when you mix everything together could look great. And then throughout the day, it could oxidize and your face look crazy. And I just took the rest off the back of my hand, and I'm kind of patting it into the areas that I think need a little extra coverage. And I always forget to kind of work foundation into my nose. And then I have like a bald spot. I have like some dry skin there, but that's okay. And as you can see, that is a pretty good match, like to my hands and to my neck. It doesn't look too off. So just like the base or foundation type products, I have several concealer type products I like to keep around and use for different purposes. The first one is a Tarte corrector that I like to use on the more blue areas in the corner of my eye. I don't get a ton of blue, like I get a little bit under the eye, but most of it is like right there in that corner. And then the concealer I like to use on my eyes, there are two. This one's a little bit more coverage. This is the Cover Perfection Tip Concealer from the same. And this is super cheap. It's like $5 on the Stylevana website. Sometimes it's less. I have the Laura Mercier Secret Camouflage that usually comes in the pans. I've depotted it and I stuck it in this little pot. You can still see that the two shades are kind of separated here. I have like foundation on my hands. But I kind of like to mix them together depending on where I'm going on my face to get a better match. And then I have this from Glossier, and it's the Stretch Concealer. And this is perfect on those days if I don't want a ton of coverage. I'm okay with a little bit of blue showing through. So I have all the options here. So I'm first going to go in with this on my pinky and then just kind of stamp it right there over the blue on the inner portion of my eye on both sides. That did a pretty good job, but I am going to go in with this concealer and then just kind of tap and then bring it under a little bit. And I should have, I'm going to use this brush. This is from Beauty Pie, and it is their Pro Angled Concealer Brush. And I'm just going to kind of tap that in. And then I like to warm it with my fingers and finish with my fingers anyway. And I do have some spots on my face, like around here and here and around the chin area, but I'm not going to touch those with concealer until after I've done my blush and my bronze, because I find if I conceal those and then go over with blush and bronzer, what ends up happening is I just pick it back up and you can still see the spot. So we're going to hold off on that for a second. So I have two bronzer options in the bag this month. And the first one is from Fenty, and this is the Butter Biscuit Cream Bronzer. And then I have the Bare Minerals. This is their Invisible Bronzer, I think is what they call it. Invisible Bronze in the shade Fair to Light. This has been discontinued, but this is the best sheer bronzer. It's very sad that they discontinued it, but I'm gonna go in first with this from Fenty and go around the areas where I kind of want to bronze a little bit, just around the edges of the face. And then I'll blend a little bit better, so I don't go crazy with it. And again, I'm gonna go in with the powder bronzer and a little bit after I do the powder and some other products on my face. And I usually only put it on if I feel like my face needs it after I apply those other things. I do have a few blush options here. I usually like to do something that's a little bit more muted and rosy, and then also a pop of color. So the more sort of like muted rosy berry tones that I have this from Bobbi Brown, and this is in Powder Pink, and that's a cream blush. And then the other cream blush that I have is my pop of color, which is the shade Roller Skate from Victoria Beckham. Then my Barely There blush that I have is this powder blush from Maybelline. This is just nice if you want a little bit of color, but not a ton. It sheers out really nicely, and it's a really universally sort of flattering shade. And then I have this more sort of like rosy berry tone, and it's called Sandy from Jones Road. Right there. So those are what I'm using. I also have this if I want a little bit of a shimmery, shiny sort of pop after I've done that. And this is the Charlotte Tilbury, and I believe, is this the Peachgasm or Pinkgasm? Peachgasm. And then there, that is. So I'm gonna go in with the Bobbi Brown and then just kind of tap some of that on the same brush I did with my foundation. You can see that's like super flattering. I find that this shade is the most similar to kind of how I have a little bit of redness and I flush right here. It's very similar. I sometimes find it looks crazy, and I might have already mentioned this in a video, but I sometimes find that it looks really crazy if your face flushes one color and then you use a completely different tone of blush, especially if you're doing a sheer foundation where your natural redness is going to show through anyway. You might as well keep it within the same tone that, you know, you naturally sort of flush. So that looks good to me. So the powder I have been loving is this Hourglass powder, and I'm actually going to go all over my face. I'm going to start with my under eyes though, and I'm going to get some here on this. Kind of just stamp it on my under eye, and I actually need to work it into the brush more to where it kind of mattifies without just adding a ton of powder all over my face. It's always good to like add more than it is to like try to blend out if you've put a ton in one spot. And so right now I'm just lightly kind of going over and placing it in the areas that like I don't want a ton of shine in. And then I'm going to do a thin kind of all over dusting to the rest of the face. And I might just leave those spots uncovered. It's not like a huge deal. But I noticed that if I go in with a little bit of spot concealing even after I powder, it usually works out fine. So I'm going to go in with this larger powder brush, and this is also usually the same one that I use to do my bronzing. So it may have a little bit of leftover bronzer from last time, but then I just do a light dust of that Hourglass powder all over the face. Okay, so I'm going to grab a little bit of this concealer, and I'm going to spot conceal just those teeny tiny little spots on my face. I'm going to grab a mirror. And then I'm just going to go over those areas that I just spot concealed with a little bit more of this powder to kind of sandwich that concealer between those layers of powder. So looking at my face, I don't feel like I need any more bronzer or blush. I actually like this amount, but I am going to go in with some highlight, and I have two highlighter options. The first one right here is this Tom Ford Duo. This one kind of warms up the face a little bit, but I like it because it's not too orange. It really is almost like a taupey kind of bronzy color. It's right there. And then this one is like a white gold kind of color, and I find that mixing them actually looks really good. So I am going to mix between the two. Actually, I could show you the other one though. The other one that I have in here is from Chanel, and it is the Eclate Magnetic de Chanel highlight. And this one I find has a little bit of a pinky peachy sort of hue. Put it right there. So I am going to go in with these two and kind of just mix. And then just a slight sort of pull back on the brush. This formula is like a sort of baked gelée formula, so it's not very heavy at all, and so it doesn't really cake up on the skin. All right, so for eyeshadow, I do have, again, a couple options for the different sorts of bases that I'm doing. So if I am doing that thin, kind of barely there see-through base, again, I don't like to use an opaque eyeshadow, and I would go in with this Giorgio Armani liquid eyeshadow. And it's very sheer, but it just kind of gives a hint of color to the eye. This color is very similar, but again, it's a little bit more opaque. So this is kind of what I would go in with, actually, with the current base that I have on, which is that Misha and the Estee Lauder product mixed together. Because it's still kind of creamy and it doesn't look super dry, but it still has a little bit more coverage and goes a little bit better with this kind of base. If I'm going foundation, I would do actually like more kind of powder type eyeshadows, which you can wear these with any of it if you just don't apply a ton. But I like a very desaturated kind of eyeshadow, so I will show you my powdered options. So if I'm wanting something to just kind of get rid of any veining that I have in my eye and to slightly brighten up the eye, I'm going to go in with this Marc Jacobs single shadow. It's going to brighten the eye, and it's just going to look like kind of my eyelid, only a little bit brighter. If I am wanting something that's super simple but impactful, I'm going to go in with this Tom Ford Naked Bronze. There's like this metallic sort of bronzy shade on the bottom, and then on the top is a top coat. And so that's like if I'm like going more glam or I'm dressing up a little bit more. And then I have this from Chanel, which has like these beautiful sorts of muted metallic shades. This was limited edition, I think, from last summer. And this is the Mediterranean palette, and I love it. And then I do have two Burberry shadows in here. This first one is the shade Shell. And this is like my all-time favorite sort of eyeshadow topper shade. And then I do have one shade called Gold Trench from Burberry, which is like a muted camel gold color. And I feel like this also goes with everything. So I'm going to actually go in with this MAC Paint Pot. And I'm not going to go in heavy with it. I'm really going to just kind of use my finger and work it in. And I'm going to get a little bit on this brush and work it into my under lash line. And then over top, I'm going to go in with that Burberry shadow that I told you is like my all-time favorite topper shade. And do you see how there's kind of like a glow to my face, and then on my eyelid, you know, not so much? I just take a little bit of this on my finger and kind of press in, and it kind of gives a beautiful glow over top of any sort of shadow. So, and that feels a little bit too glowy, so once I pat this in, I'm going to go in with a fluffy brush, and it's going to pick up any excess that hasn't like sunk into that cream shade underneath. And then it's just kind of like brightened and natural looking, or I guess as natural as like eyeshadow can look. All right, so I need to give the eyebrows a little bit of attention, and I typically have multiple eyebrow products in here. And if I'm doing like a full beat, I will use all 4 products. And it's kind of like I just add little by little. So if I'm going as natural as possible, I might do some of this Kosas brow gel with a little bit of this pencil that I've been using recently from RAAR. I don't know. I'll have everything linked below. But I use this because it's like an angled brow pencil, but it's like also micro at the same time. And so I can just put color exactly where I need it. If I am doing a little bit extra elevated, I will go through first with this Beauty Pie Super Brow Angled Shaping Pencil. This texture is a little bit more pomadey than the other pencil, and you can kind of move the hairs around where you want them to go. So I'll use this and then maybe a little bit of this to kind of just finish and move things into place and keep it where I want to go. And then if I want to go full on, I'll start first by kind of just like evenly filling everything in with this brow powder from Anastasia, then going in with this, then filling in the big areas and moving hairs where I want them to go with this, and then filling in the tiny area with this. So I think I'll do a little extra brow today. I don't want to go too crazy. I also find that when I'm using this product, if I put too much product in, it builds very quickly and doesn't look so great. And then I'm just going to grab a little bit of this and then just start putting powder just in the areas where I need to fill in a little bit. So I abused my eyebrows in the 90s and now I'm paying for it. Okay, so I actually think that looks pretty good, but I mean, sometimes you just have like good brow days and bad brow days. And I think I might actually, if I weren't filming this and like showing you all 4 steps, I might have actually just left the powder. So that looks really good. I'm actually surprised. So I'm going to go in now with the Kosas and just try to set it in place. And a lot of the times when you go in with the brow after you use a powder and you try to set something in place, you'll get some bald spots. So that's where the pencils are going to have to come in. But actually not so bad so far. Yeah, not too bad. I think I'm going to skip using the Beauty Pie one and I'm just going to go in a little bit with this one and just fill in a few of those areas and kind of move the brows around while they haven't completely set from the gel. I think this is good enough. I'm not going to use the other brow pencil because I like the way this looks. So anyway, so I'm going to go in now and curl my lashes. And I have this new, well, it's not new mascara, but I have this mascara that I probably showed you a good 6 months ago, probably for the first time. And I love the mascara. I love the way it makes my eyelashes look. However, it's like impossible to take off. Like I will use soap, water, like this is like the perfect thing that you could use and like to swim in. Like it will not come off. So then I went on their website and they do have a special eye makeup remover to remove it. And I need to find out what's in this because these eye makeup remover bottles are tiny. Like look how small this eye makeup remover is. And by the time I soak, maybe I should use a cotton ball like it says instead of one of these cotton pads. Because by the time I soak a cotton pad with this stuff, it's like a quarter of the bottle is gone. So, but I love the mascara. So if I'm not using this crazy waterproof mascara, which I have in black and brown, this is the Neogen, they call it, what is it called? Extra Volume Curl Metal Mascara. And if I'm not using this mascara, I do use the Say Beauty one. I'm teaching a cycling class tonight though, and so I find that this is the most perfect thing. If I'm sweating, my mascara doesn't come off. So I am going to go in with the black one. And so what I like about this is it has that metal wand, kind of like the Hourglass does. And it just coats your lashes without clumping up. And it literally, all it does is just put the mascara on your lash, which I have pretty decent lashes. but even the stuff with, you know, fibers and things like that that are supposed to build on your lashes, my lashes look crazy good with this stuff. So I'm just gonna apply it and shut up. And let me zoom you in so you can kind of see. I did just curl a little bit. And this is also great if you were trying to save a little bit of money, like you're doing bridal makeup, because you can sanitize this wand, because it's a metal wand, sanitize it before you put it back in, and that's like perfect if you do makeup on multiple people and their makeup needs to last. So anyway, I'm gonna just start putting this on the lashes. And then look at that, like, I don't know, maybe, I just think it looks so good and so natural. And if you really curl your lashes, like it holds the curl too. I didn't really curl my lashes a ton. I just did like one little squeeze. That looks so good. And you can let it dry and you can build up, but I feel like I don't really need to. All right, so I am gonna put on a second coat just so you can kind of see how it builds. But it's crazy. If I feel like I need to separate my lashes, I do go through with a lash comb. But you would think that since this doesn't have like a brush to comb through the lashes, that it might clump up more, but it really doesn't. And then it's pretty well cleaned off at this point, but anything left I do kind of just slightly coat the bottom lashes with, and I think that looks nice too. I typically, with normal mascaras, I will not do the bottom lashes because I feel like it gets clumpy, but this doesn't really do that. So I have 5 lip products. The first one is just a balm if I'm wanting something quick. It's the Glossier Birthday Balm.com. And then the second I have is this lip liner that I feel like I use with everything and I've been using in every video. This is the nude beige color from NYX. And then I have, if I want to do a lip stain, I have the Benetint in here. And then I have this from Romand, and it's the Pomelo Skin, and it's like a stain, but it's more of like a peachy sort of beigey stain. And then the other option I have is this, which is more of a pinky, like sheer gloss to go over top, and this is from Lawless. So I'm first just going to go in with this lip liner from NYX. And I think I'm just going to go in with this one, the Romand Juicy Lasting Tint in number 22 Pomelo Skin. And just going to put that on the center. And that is it. Those are all the products in my everyday makeup bag. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my hair down. And there's a slight kink in my hair now, so I'll probably have to go fix that. But as you can see, I have literally everything I would need to do everyday makeup or even elevated looks, and everything is still flattering, and all the products build with each other to kind of give that more elevated look if you need it. Or I also have like the super sheer products that work great if you're just trying to do barely there sort of makeup. There's one more item that's in here that I forgot to mention. I pulled it out with the eyebrow stuff, and it is this. If I want to do eyeliner, which I very rarely do, I go in with this Revlon Color Stay Micro Pencil, and I will tightline with this or even draw a little tiny wing if I want to do that. But I'm not really an eyeliner gal, but I do keep this in there if I do eyeliner. So anyway, that is everything. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.